what's up, Cannon family? This is Vaca with the Stone Age podcast. Welcome to the show. It's been a while, so we're glad to be back on the mic here and to be able to do our interviews. Today we got two gentlemen here from Rare Dankness, and if you've never heard of Rare Dankness nutrients and seeds, man, you need to start Googling because these guys are doing amazing things in the world. So we're going to go ahead and bring them on and talk further with them and see what they're all about and talk more about their dry nutrients and everything they got going with that. So we have Mike and we also have Scott over here from Rare Dankness. We're gonna go ahead and bring you guys on. What's up, fellas? How you doing?
Good, man. How are you doing today?
Doing great, man. So this is Scott right here on the screen with us. Let me go ahead and enlarge that. There we go. We got Scott on the screen with us here. And so Scott, are you the founder of the company?
I am. I've been a cultivator for 22 years. I got into the business back in the late 90s, just growing for myself and making seeds for myself. And luckily, I was at the kind of right place at the right time when the medical scene happened here in Colorado, which was about 2009.
Okay.
And I started a little store called Stone Mountain, which was our first venture into the dispensary side of the business. And after about 2 years of running Stone Mountain, I ended up finding out I had cancer.
Oh no!
So I got to go from kind of an activist to a patient, and live that side of the story as well. And during that time, I shut down Stone Mountain and started Rare Dankness, just as an outlet to show my creativity as a breeder. And we've been basically in the seed game since 2010. And then in 2015, I went from consulting and doing the seed breeding to designing and building my own large scale facility here in Colorado. And through that project, we basically worked with all the big name manufacturers of nutrients that were on the market at the time. And we did a fairly automated facility here in Colorado.
Okay.
So what we were looking for was an agricultural grade nutrient that ran cleanly, didn't leave a lot of deposits, was based more for cannabis instead of tomatoes or peppers or whatever else, fertilizer that has generally been on the market is based for. So we did a lot of our own, research with a company out of New Jersey that's been in the business since 1935. And we spent over 5 years in trials developing the nutrient. And we're here today to basically talk about the nutrient and talk about the business as a whole. We've seen everything from the black market to the gray market to the caregiver market to medical to full legalization, with the retail side and adult usage side.
So what year was it was Stone Mountain? Is that what you called it? What was the store?
Yeah.
And
the first store that I had, 2009.
2009. Okay. And then you said fairly after that you got diagnosed with cancer?
Yeah, January of 2010.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's right after you opened, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, about 4 months after I opened the store, I had a customer come in and just tell me I didn't look good, and I was like, thanks.
Right.
And I figured it was just all the stress of having gone from a black market grower to trying to do everything on the up and up and be a legitimate businessman. And I went in and got some tests done, and my blood work came back bad. So,
man, yeah, that's devastating news when you get that, man. So I'm sorry that you had to go through that. I mean, are you cancer free now?
Yeah, I've been cancer free for over 10 years, so I'm good.
Wow, man. Well, congratulations on that. I'm glad to hear that.
Thank you.
So that's definitely a scary thing to hear when the doctor comes back with those kind of results. We all, never want to get that kind of news. So I appreciate you opening up and sharing that with us because that's not easy. how long were you a grower before that? I mean, is that something you said about 22 years? So
Yeah, so late '90s. I got into just a few plants outdoors originally, and then I moved to Boulder, Colorado, like in '98, '99. And when I moved to Boulder, it was specifically to grow. I worked in the bicycle biz as well. I was like a bike mechanic for a bunch of years, and basically started growing just as a way to have some herb for myself without having to go out and buy it.
yeah, like a lot
And
of old growers like us, man. I'm right there with you.
yeah,
I've been growing for 26, almost 27 years now. So
nice man.
I'm right there with you. I have a lot of passion for this plant, and I've seen a lot of people being able to heal themselves and to heal others as well.
Yep.
I have had that experience myself, helping people that have cancer and brain tumors and things like that see the results, and I think that's what really drove me to do what I'm doing today, with my show and my store. I started in the black market like most of us did, and I ran hydro stores here in Arizona for now, I mean, about 14 years, 15 years, right in that
Okay.
area. So I ran a few stores before. I have my own now, but just at the time when I was doing all that, just running the stores, it was illegal to talk about. You know what I mean? We couldn't talk about
Yep.
anything.
Yeah.
And it was definitely different times. And so many more people were scared to do what we're doing now, and it's kind of it's wild to see the transition, from guys like us doing it years ago, and all of a sudden now what the scene is. It's crazy, you know what I mean? And I'm happy that it's changing, but I kind of miss the old days, man. You know what I'm saying? Because this
Yeah. I get a little
corporate
nostalgic.
cannabis came
Yeah.
in and screwed some shit up, right?
Yeah. I get a little nostalgic sometimes. I definitely remember the first time I was like in a grocery store and heard two people in line in front of me having just a full on conversation about their grows. And it was like Boulder 2010, 2011, like people were starting to open up about having a medical grow and, and be a little more blatant about it.
Yeah.
And I can remember hearing these two dudes talk and just leaning forward and being like, you're not supposed to be having this conversation like in a public place.
Right.
Um, but yeah, we came from the time where loose lips sank ships, so you had to
Yeah.
be quite quiet about what you were doing and methodical about what you were doing, and
That's what makes me feel so
um,
weird still to this day, like, because like you said, like, I didn't tell nobody, you know what I mean? And that's the way it was supposed to be.
yeah,
Old school growers know that, you know what I mean? And I still feel like I don't like putting too much out there. It got me more used to it doing the show, obviously, but before that I was like,
yeah,
I don't want to talk about this to too many people. And now, I mean, it's a little different here than I'm sure where you're at in Colorado. But there's only just recently opened up a store that's selling clones and things like that, to where it's still
okay,
in that gray area here, to where I'm like,
yeah,
I wouldn't do that. Like, hell no. Like, you're just asking for
yeah,
attention, being that first guy, you know what I mean? And I was like, I don't know how it's gonna work here in Arizona. It's pretty lax where you guys are at and in Cali and stuff like that, but here in Arizona, it's still
yeah.
so, they're still busting people and shit for, the stupid shit, all this petty stuff that shouldn't be happening, and it's still happening here. So it's
Yeah,
crazy.
man. I was lucky. I was like one of the first 50 stores to open up, like when the 2009 medical wave kind of happened,
Yeah.
and I think they were too busy with busting like big out of state things that were happening here in Colorado to really worry about the little guys that were trying to operate legitimately.
Yeah. No, I get that.
And it was only like what 2 years until regulation happened. I mean, they didn't let that Wild West fly for too long.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna get Mike on the line here. This is Scott over here from Rare Dankness, the founder, and we're gonna go ahead and bring on Mike as well. Mike, welcome to the show over here. I appreciate you taking the time to come on as well.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I got involved in cannabis in kind of the early 2000s. I've got fibromyalgia and just some like muscle issues, and I've found that has always been one of the best things to help me out with that. And I was not a very wealthy kid, so the best thing to do was, like you guys said, to kind of procure your own. So, I got kind of involved in it pretty early on, and decided to kind of go to school. At that time, you couldn't tell people you were going to school to learn how to grow cannabis, but um, growing flowers and doing that for a little while. Did a lot of hydroponic growing, and then moved into cannabis. Was lucky enough to meet Scott and to be able to manage the facility that they have there in Denver, and that's where we kind of. Like he was saying, that's where we developed the nutrient and I'm running on now, but
that's one thing. I'm glad you brought up the fibromyalgia and the chronic pain kind of thing. Because that's something that I deal with myself. Definitely chronic pain and 380 disc and all sorts of crap. So right there with you, and I'm glad you highlighted that too, because that's one of the most common things. When people are in pain, obviously that why they use cannabis, and for me it's made the difference. You know what I mean? I'm not a pharmaceutical person myself. I don't take aspirin. I haven't in forever, in 18 plus years. And cannabis is all I turn to, and CBD, obviously THC and CBD. And CBD, now that it's legal, actually, I own a CBD store as well. We're sitting in it right here, Dynapure CBD. And, it's wonderful that we can at least provide, the masses with a, medication from the cannabis plant. And I think it's important that we educate, you know what I mean? And that's what we focus on, is education on what cannabis can actually do for us. And I think it's amazing, we hear it all the time. I'm sure you do too, of the benefits that it's had for people and how it's changed their life.
Oh, most definitely, man. Yeah. I mean, when I had, just multiple patients that have come up to me over the years and tell me, survival stories where doctors have given, people with stage 4 cancer 6 months to live, and they got on the CBD oil and, squeaked out another 4 years or 5 years or something like that, where they were basically, written off and told to go home and kiss their loved ones goodbye.
It gives me chills. You saying that, I mean, that's just devastating for people. Not, like you said, not just the person themselves, but the family and the friends, everybody that's around them is devastated the same way. I mean, because they know that, this diagnosis, could really happen and kill this person sooner, than they expect. So
I think pretty much everybody nowadays knows somebody that has had cancer,
I was going to say, both of us have people in that exact situation. I've got a friend that's lived over a year longer than he was supposed to, and hopefully it will keep going. And, Scott's got a family member as well that's the same. So yeah, it's pretty awesome what it can do. Absolutely.
And imagine how many lives it could have saved over the past, 100+ years when it was illegal, made illegal, you know what I'm saying? All that 100+ years that we went through. How many people could have been saved from cannabis, and, how many people died because of the pharmaceutical industry, like in between that time too, and it's kind of.
Yeah. Or steered away from opiates or something like that,
That's right.
I think there's definitely been a rush in the pharmaceutical industry to write that script for whatever it needs to be, and not enough true studies have been done on cannabis. There's a lot of anecdotal type of evidence that we know works, but I think now that you're starting to see states come on and become legal and have adult usage and have medical programs, I think we're going to see more like patient trials where you can actually find cures for these ailments that have been plaguing us.
That's where I'm excited about where we're at in this time. You know what I mean? Like the all the research that can be done now, and see what actually cannabis can really do. Because we've seen cannabis change so much. Like let's just say from 2000 on, like where we're at now, like is just wow, with the whole concentrate game and everything else that you
Yeah.
see and all these new cannabinoids come into play. And it's just like, wow, okay, now we're really getting somewhere, and I'm
Yeah. I
excited to be
mean,
part of that journey. You know what I mean? Because it's important that we pave the way right. You know what I'm saying? We have to really acknowledge where we came from and how we got here,
yep.
and
Yep.
then move on to the future. You know what I'm saying? Because we can't just go from here and like like I said earlier, all these Chads and Brads got in the industry and kind of changed the scene and the look of it, right? Well, that's not, in my eyes, that's not cannabis. You know what I mean? They've made it just, the look of it just way different than it should be. So that's why, with
Yeah.
the Stone Age podcast here, we try to keep that culture alive. You know what I mean? Where do we come from? And it's guys like you guys, you know what I'm saying, that really put in the time and went through all these processes, in life with cannabis to be able to be where you're at today and have a great company, and a great line of nutrients and, everything that you guys are doing. It took time, right?
Took a lot of time. Like a lot of people think you have overnight success, and typically behind any type of success, you got years and years and years of just grinding it out. And like in the seed game, I like to say for every pack of seeds that I've sold, I've probably given away 5 packs.
Yeah, you have to,
Um,
right? I mean, it's about giving back
yeah.
too, and it's
I'm
spreading
finding
that
that
love.
even with the nutrients, like we've given out so many samples, um, either by mailing them out by post office or taking them into grow shops or having Hydrofarm pass them out to grow shops.
Yeah,
Really to find your footing in anything, you got to be able to put your brand out there, to put your story out there, and to give away samples, man.
for sure. And I'm gonna bring up a bud right here. I was researching a little bit. This Scott's OG. When did you create that?
2011.
Man, it's such a beautiful flower when it's fresh like that. I saw some pictures when it was finished as well. I never had a chance, the chance to try it myself, but man, it looks beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. A lot of people think I named it after myself. I actually named it after a real good friend of mine,
Okay.
whose name is also Scott.
Hey, well, it makes
If you,
it's a duo.
yeah, exactly. This guy named Scott Blakey, who goes by the handle Shanty Baba, original creator of White Widow, some of the Super Silver Hazes. He's a legend in himself,
Well, White
and
Widow, you just said that. That's a legend right there. You know what I mean?
that's
So,
super legend. Yeah, right. So named after Scott, and I get a lot of people that think it's named after myself, but I find it kind of funny that it's a good friend of mine.
that's awesome, man. Well, I like hearing backstories like that. That's why we like to do this show and really get in depth and go beyond the brand and things like that and get to know
Yeah,
those kind of things, because it's important. I think, you know, again, right now, the time we're at, like, you've seen an explosion of breeders, right? All these seed
yeah,
lines just all of a sudden pop up out of nowhere. And in
yeah.
my experiences, and what I refer and recommend to my customers that come in is to not just go ahead and go with anybody. You have to go with a reputable seed company, a seed bank that has been doing this for a long time and put in the work, that needs to be put in to be able to put out a quality seed line, right?
Instagram has created a lot of clout and a lot of fame.
Anybody out there
But
that's
definitely, you got to do your research. You have to know who's been breeding and doing proper work for a long time. We get a little bit of negative publicity sometimes because I don't do a lot of the hype stuff. Like I don't do a lot of wedding cake or um, what are some of the other ones? Resin gusher. I mean, there's a lot of them that I don't really mess around with. We tend to breed a lot of hazes. I like the OGs. I like to play with stuff that my personal self like to smoke. So I don't do a lot of breeding just to make seeds.
well, that's important, and I'm glad you said that. it's not all about that. It's about the appreciation of the plant itself, and to
Yeah.
make something that is going to be appreciated in the masses. You know what I mean? To where it's going to be stable, and that's where it needs to be stable, right? I mean, it has to be a
Yeah.
stable genetic, and that's where it takes the time to be able to make that. And I think that's
Yeah.
an important to highlight as well. We want stable genetics because we don't, we put a lot of money and time into these plants, and if it doesn't come out right and something goes wrong with it, there's a
Oh, it's
million things that can
frustrating.
go wrong. But if the genetics
Yeah,
themselves aren't stable, like
it can be
you're just
super
wasting
frustrating.
time.
Yeah, it can be as frustrating as it possibly can be. I mean, and you've seen it from the hydro store side of things. Like, it's important to have good equipment. It's very important to have the proper nutrients. But it definitely comes back to the genetics that you're playing with. If the potential doesn't lie within that seed, like, it's never going to live up to what you think it's going to live up to.
That's right. And I remember the first time that I ever ordered seeds, it was from Europe. You know what I mean? Back in the day,
Okay.
obviously,
Oh,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? So
Yeah.
it was crazy how they came. It was a DVD case that we got, and like, what
Like
the hell?
stealth
You know what I
packaging.
mean? Like, yeah, I'm all
The
excited. I'm
first
like,
ones
this
I
is
ever
trick.
got were like in the cardboard, like where they glued the cardboard together and
Oh
had all
wow.
packed in there.
Yeah, my buddy, he ordered some, and then it was a while that it went by, and he just didn't think he got them. You know what I mean? And then he started thinking about it. He's like, wait a minute, I got these pins in the mail, and inside the pin,
Yeah.
that's where they were at.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen all the tricks, definitely.
Yeah, we got a storm going on out here. We got all of a sudden there's like a rainstorm going crazy outside. I'm like, whoa, what's happening over here?
Wow.
So yeah, in
You
Arizona
guys
we
get flash flooding pretty badly, right?
oh yeah, man, it's been crazy. I mean, we haven't had a monsoon like this in over 10 years probably. So I mean, it's been a
Wow.
lot of rain, and especially up north in Flagstaff because of all the fires. So the
Yeah.
fires wiped it all out, and they're just dealing with massive flooding up there right now. So I mean, it's
Yeah.
definitely causing a lot of damage. And then even in here in the city, oh shit, I just realized my car windows are down. Like,
Oh, geez. Yeah,
yeah, give me 1 second, fellas. I'm gonna be right back. Hold on 1 second.
no problem.
No fun. So
You got a little bit of light on you.
yeah, I don't know why. I got so many lights in here, and for some reason I still can't get it. So
All right,
right.
sorry about that, fellas. I'm like over here looking out. I'm like, all of a sudden I see the windows down and it's pouring. I'm like, oh shit, that's not good. But
Not
anyway,
good at all.
you know, I'm glad we touched the subject of the seeds, because that's you obviously started growing first, and then the store, and then the seeds, and now you're into this nutrient line. How long has the nutrient line been around?
It's actually been on the market for about 2 years.
Okay.
Hydrofarm picked it up 2 years ago. We've been pushing it through them just recently because of all the COVID restrictions. We released it at a time where you couldn't go out and beat down doors because no one was letting you in.
Yep.
So it really wasn't the best like release time that we could have had when we chose to put it on the market. But in the last 6 months, we've been actually going out to California, to Arizona, to Colorado, to New Mexico. Yeah, and passing out samples and meeting people and seeing the shops and just convincing people that there's a need for another market, another product that's on the market that's actually been tested on cannabis, been trialed on cannabis. It's something that we use exclusively, for our grows.
Nice.
And from the terpene aspect of extracts and flower production and all that, it produces an exceptional quality product.
That's awesome, man. One thing I can say, because the samples that you guys did drop off, I've been using them. I've been using them in the store because I want to show people, how well they work. And it's probably the most soluble, dry nutrient that I've ever used. Like literally, you put it in and it is gone.
It
I use a
dissolves.
little,
Absolutely,
Yeah.
yeah.
I use a little mixing paddle, and then instantly it's pretty much dissolved, and there's nothing, no residues left behind, no chunks, no nothing, and it just looks like regular water again. I'm like, damn, this is awesome.
So one of the big problems, or one of the big things that we faced overhead wise with our grow, was the amount of time that we were having our growers, because we were trying to run such a skeletonized staff so that our automation did most of the work for us within our facility, was we were having so much time spent just cleaning. And cleaning to me is one of those frustrating tasks that just, there's a better way to do it. So when we really started looking at developing our own nutrient, it had been something we'd kicked around for a bunch of years with some of the bigger names I had approached, and just pitched the idea for a rare dankness branded nutrient, because I knew that having good branding would sell a product, but also if we could do some of the garden work, so to speak, to really dial in some of these products, I knew that there would be a niche market for it. So ultimately it fell on us to do it ourselves. And what we were finding is people were spending so much time scrubbing tables, cleaning reservoirs, cleaning drip lines. I mean, all the frustrating things that a gardener typically doesn't want to have to do. They want to spend time with the plants. So having that solubility and cleanliness was a key building block for us when we started working on the project.
For sure, I can imagine, and it shows. You guys have put the time in to make a quality product. And what I did like about it as well, I'm not going to mention any other names, but you'll know who I'm talking about, that recommends running a 2.0 EC, like from clone on, basically. And
3.0.
There we go. 3.0, starting with 2 and then getting to 3. Yeah. So I'm like, holy shit, like, what are we doing here, guys? You know what I mean? So
yeah.
It might be a quality line and stuff, but 3.0 on the EC, that's just, you're loading up the nutrient, and it doesn't need all that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, then you need other products to, start to break down that amount of salt as well.
No, so that's important too, and that's where being an old school grower, we know that you're supposed to build up the plants, not just hit them hard as hell. You know what I mean, right out the freaking gate.
And less is more sometimes.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. And like you said, at the finished product, like if you're not doing, okay, maybe in the commercial scene and this and that, whatever their grows and whatever they're doing this at, they're using the right products and they're doing the right processes to flush it out. But we're talking about home growers here, you know what I'm saying? And people that are just beginning and this and that. Like, in my opinion, we're starting them out right. You there, Scott? Mike?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
There we go. I got you guys now. So yeah, we got Mike and Scott over here from Rare Dankness. I'm sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Zoom. I don't know if it's the storm or what, but it just all of a sudden cut off on me.
Yeah, no worries, man.
So yeah, you remember where we left off? I think we were talking about
the solubility of the nutrient.
There we go.
Just how the cleanliness aspect of it.
That's what one thing that I have to say, is I've been very impressed with that. You know what I mean? It's definitely been something that is amazing. I really appreciate what you guys have done, and the plants that I've been using it on seem to be reacting very well. And I'm just, I'm really impressed with how easy it is to work with.
Good. We really wanted to keep it simple, not have a lot of parts to it. Simplicity from the aspect of when you've got 12 bottles you're mixing from, when you end up with an issue, it's hard to deduce where that problem came from. So simplicity of the product, cleanliness of the product, and then ultimately producing a high quality end product were our main focuses when we were working on this nutrient. So it's been a labor of love. We originally didn't start, as a fertilizer company. So to go from being a seed guy to just, a regular weed grower to deciding that, there needed to be another product or a better product on the market to water your plants with, has been it's been a journey, man.
I bet. Yeah. No, well, like I said, I appreciate you guys for taking that journey, and making, not only the nutrient line but the seed line as well. You know what I mean? Because we want to keep the good genetics out there. And what's your favorite strain that you produce?
I mean, I love Scott's OG. Star Killer though is probably my favorite, like go to
I hear a lot
strain.
about that.
Yeah, I'd have to say
Yeah.
Star Killer's at the top for me as well.
What's the cross between that?
It's a Skywalker OG, and then the RD2, which is a Ghost OG, Triangle, and then the Chem.
Nice. Well, you got
So
me at Skywalker.
yeah, man. Yeah.
So
So
that
it's
is that the most popular that you guys, the most popular genetics?
So the Ghost Train
Ghost
Haze is
Train.
probably yeah, Ghost Train Haze is probably what I'm known for more than anything else. High Times named it strongest strain on earth a couple of years in a row.
Sweet.
It's won hundreds of awards globally.
Wow.
It's a sativa, but it's got a somewhat decent finishing time, and then an extremely high terpene content. So when you're making, diamonds and sauce or making any type of extract out of it, it's always going to be a high terp type of extract.
And that's the Ghost Train Haze. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Wow. All right. I like that. And then, you touched the subject. I noticed that you didn't say it, and I want you to explain why you didn't say it, because us old school growers know you didn't mention anything about THC. You said the terpene profile on there. So, how do you feel about, the industry and, they're, mainly focused on THC? What do you think?
I mean, so as a store owner, the two most frequently asked questions are, what's the highest THC and what's the cheapest on the menu? And it's a tough, like, set of questions to really deal with, being a connoisseur, because, terpenes play into it. The type of high plays into it. There's so much more than just like what those numbers are versus, what that bottom dollar is.
I agree.
So seeing like the craft movement that's happening a little bit, where some growers are just kind of drawing the sand in the line and saying, I'm going to keep my product at a higher shelf value, because it has been grown with love. It has the cultural history to it. It's got, some fire aspect of whether it's a good THC number or high terpene number, more so than just bag appeal.
Yeah. No, I agree, man. And that's where we need to be at, and highlighting the all around aspects of these different genetics. And, it's not just THC. There's so many different things that these wonderful plants, bring us, and I think now that we're able to do that research, like we were talking about earlier, we can get into those, the terpenes, what can they really do for us, and all these different cannabinoids that come along with that genetic,
Yeah.
and that's where we can isolate certain genetics and, use them for certain things, and I think that's awesome that you're a big part of that, producing these strains that, benefit people's lives. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Thank you, man. I appreciate it. It's been a passion of mine, and will continue to be so. So, to this day, I think that one of the most therapeutic things people can do is just have a garden.
That's true, man, and I preach that every day. We have the store. Obviously, we have our hydro store here, Little Shop of Hydros, and we have a huge learning center. After the show, if you guys stay on, I'll walk you through the store, and you guys can see what we're doing here. But we dedicated part of our store as a learning center, So it can fit at least 35 to 40 people comfortably with tables and chairs and all that. And we have a 75-inch screen built into the wall to be able to do these kind of things, Zoom and any platform, to be able to bring guys like you in for a class and just, here you guys go. If you guys are wondering why you should choose rare dankness seeds, blah, 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 you're looking for a good breeder, you guys can come on and educate these people of why they should choose your genetics over others, and I think that's the most important thing, is to educate our community right here. I grew up in my community right here where my store is at. I've lived in this community for 30 years. I went to high school right down the street. I live right down the street. People know me, you know what I mean? And they can trust me. And I work with the local high school now. We created a community garden right down the road with the city of Phoenix. We're the only community garden within a city park. So we're in the city park. So I got to design that and help get the grant to be able to build it. And it's just brought a lot of life to me. I say it all the time. We're just on the news here, one of the biggest news channels here in Arizona. Just last week, we did 2 segments, and they contacted us because they wanted to talk about inflation and the rising food costs, and there are more people growing their own food. And when they came here, they learned more about the garden and things like that. So not only did we do 1 segment, they wanted to do 2 segments and be out at the community garden. And it was just awesome to be able to highlight that, and I like to work with kids, and educate the future of society here, and teach them where food comes from, because as we know, we're living in times where kids only see food in the grocery store, at fast food and things like that, to where they need to know that food grows from the ground, and then, how to grow it.
Yeah.
If we just let the government and all these, the city and whoever try to feed us, what if that shit shuts down, right? Or where are we going to be at? And then it's going to be chaos if nobody knows how to grow their own food and supply their own nutrition, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I was fortunate. I had a grandfather that I spent most of my time with, that he was a farmer. So he grew up as a sharecropper in the South, and always had a big garden with tomatoes and okra and eggplants and strawberries. And so, my passion beyond cannabis is actually hot chili plants.
Yeah, all right.
So I love the hot chilies, and if I was willing to make the same endeavor into growing and breeding those things, I think that that'd be just as much fun.
Well, you never know. You might transition into that enough when you can retire from what you're doing here, or pass the torch on, and then focus on something that just chilling and eating hot peppers. What's your favorite? What's the hottest?
Oh man, those Reapers right now are probably the most ridiculous thing out there. Yeah.
How about you, Mike? Are you a pepper fan?
Oh yeah, I've actually got some hot peppers growing right now, and I'm a pretty avid gardener myself. Been doing it since I was really young, and was actually one thing that I kind of thought of is we were actually stuck in Spain when the pandemic hit, trying to promote the nutrients. That was our first kind of trip to promote the nutrients, which is really interesting. And when you get back, we were quarantined for however many weeks, and I had a whole pantry full of sauces and pickles and all kinds of things that I canned, from the previous year. So it's important to have those kind of things.
Oh heck yeah, definitely, man. I can't wait. I'm gonna actually start some hot peppers in the store. Previous stores that have in the past, we've done some jalokias and some reapers and things like that, and they're just fun to grow.
Sure.
I mean, it's funny when people want to try them, obviously, because it's fire, and Mike, I saw those nutrients behind you there. You want to go ahead and highlight a couple things on that?
Yeah, sure. Basically, I don't know how well you guys could see it, but we've got 5 different products. 3 of those products are essential, meaning you really only need the 3 to do your average grow from start to finish. But we have clone products because we were doing thousands of clones every week, and when you're doing that many clones, it becomes important to get 90 to 100% success rate, so that you're not, wasting money, wasting time, and so on. So we needed something besides, at that time, the only thing you could get was kind of doctoring up your own mix. You get some, bloom feed and, maybe a little bit of a veg, one of the veg parts, and you mix them together and kind of make your own nutrient.
Yeah.
So that was one thing that, we wanted to do. And then the fortifies our silica additive. So especially in a bigger commercial grow, silica becomes important. It helps with stability, and rigidity of the plant. It can help some with, helping with mildew. If you've got some fluctuations in your temperature and humidity, it'll, help out with that a little bit, give you a little bit of protection on that as well. Basically, we wanted it to be as simple as possible. We didn't have a huge amount of, the way our injection system worked, we didn't have a huge amount of parts, and we needed to figure that out. And like Scott said, we also were kind of unhappy. We did it to fix a lot of problems. I can remember, I'm not going to name any names, but I can remember getting barrels of nutrients, and after a week, you're skimming off like the pudding skin layer, the top of it, and it's stuff like that, and then that's the kind of stuff that would clog up the line and so on. So there was just a lot of problems and a lot of money being thrown out because of the fertilizer that we were using. So that was a big part of why we developed it.
Yeah, I mean, not that these other nutrients don't work, but if you're running a certain, kind of grow when you have drippers and lines and this and that, you want them to be clean, you know what I mean? And you want them to stay clean. And there's nothing wrong with, using those other nutrients, but in different settings, maybe it'll work for somebody. But like you said, you don't want to have to put so much maintenance into something when you're, that's a lot of downtime.
Absolutely.
And a lot of man hours, especially if you're in a big facility, right?
Absolutely.
And another thing to point out too, like Scott was saying, if you're running a real tight ship and you have, as minimal employees as possible because everything's automated, well, that's where things can go wrong. If things get clogged up, they're not feeding certain plants, this, that, and the other. And if somebody doesn't notice that, you can lose a lot, right?
Oh yeah, we definitely had days where you'd come in and go, oh, we gotta run and get some water. Or, we had days where we'd have to actually pull out the whole drip system because it was so mucked up. We couldn't even get it clean enough to use.
Wow.
There was definitely plenty of times that I got called in the middle of the night. I get every sense of my phone. So I didn't sleep a whole lot those 5-6 years. So
yeah, I bet. And needless to say, so now you guys don't have those issues now that you're using the rare dankness nutrients, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely changed a lot. Instead of having to pull out and change, drip lines and drip heads and all that stuff. You just at the end, you're cleaning everything, with soap and water and putting it back in and resetting and going again. So, absolutely.
That's great, man. I'm glad to hear that you guys stand behind your nutrients, not just by, hey, this is what we got, we stand behind, we made it, but you guys are using it actively on all the genetics, the seed line, all that kind of stuff, and the personal grows and whatever. You guys are showing people on your own that it works because you guys are using it too. I think that's important to highlight.
Yeah, we've been really happy with the line and aspect of. I started out as a dirt grower, switched to hydroponics about 15 years ago. Ran pretty much every major label that's out there's liquid lines. When the water soluble products started, falling around, tried a few of the, products that were on the market, And when the opportunity arose to develop our own product, it was something I knew we had to do. You know, from not only just the cleanliness aspect within the facility, but you know, having something that we've worked on, that we've developed, that I can use in my own garden. That's one of the most important things to me.
That's great, man. I'm glad to hear that. You know, and I really like your guys' logo and, you know, the presentation of it. You know, rare dankness. I mean, obviously, it fits. You know what I mean? Because that's what we're trying to do here. You know, we're trying to grow some dank, right? And you
Yeah.
know that skunk on there just says everything right there. So.
All right. So the story is, when I had Stone Mountain, I had this customer drive 7 hours to come to the store, and we were just a medical shop. He had his full paperwork. Comes in the store. We had a little bitty like boutique where you would enter like a doctor's office. There was a waiting room. Then you would step back into the dispensing area. He steps back and he looks at the weed that we had, and he's like, "Scott, it is rare to find this type of dankness in Colorado anywhere."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Man, that'd be a really good name for a strain, you know, like rare dankness." And for a couple of weeks, I thought about it, and we were at that time going to do Stone Mountain seeds, you know, like that was kind of where we were leaning to.
Yeah.
And I was like, "No, it's gotta have that like boutique sound to it, you know, like it can't just be another." Uh, Originally, it was moonshine seeds, you know, so it's got to sound good. It's got to roll off the tongue. It's got to catch your attention. And the skunk logo, when I had it designed, it was one of 15 or 16 designs that came to me. But the second I saw it, I knew it was the logo that I was looking for.
That's great, man. I like that story. That's a cool story. I always wonder how brand names come about. You know what I mean? And you know, like my show, the Stoned Age podcast. You know, for a while I had a different show in the past. It was the AZ podcast, and then I was off air for a while, and then I was going on a major network, and then I was like, you know, sitting there thinking of shows and names and things, and you know, you have lists of things, and then as soon as I wrote down the Stoned Age podcast, it just made sense. We're in the Stoned Age. You know what I mean? Like you see it everywhere. And as soon as I put it down, there was nothing else that caught my eye. It was the Stoned Age, you know, and I'm glad I stuck with that, you know, and people that hear it, you know, they love it, you know what I mean? And just like rare dankness, you know, I appreciate that. And just by reading that, or you know, if you just saw it somewhere, you know what to expect, you know, just by the sight of it, you know, and you know, that's where quality comes through. And you know, we really want to represent, you know, good quality weed here, you know, and I would love to be able to represent you guys at the store and refer people, my customers, your way. You know what I'm saying? If we can get some seeds of your guys and start a wholesale kind of thing or whatever it is, you know, that's what I want to be able to rep. You know, there's a lot of breeders out there. Everybody's always kind of reaching out, want to do something. I'm like, nah, you know what I mean? Like, I only want to send people certain ways, you know?
Yeah, I appreciate that.
No, you know, I've, you know, I was looking on your guys' website and all the different, you know, how many different uh, genetics do you guys offer? How many different strains?
Oh Lord. In the 22 years I've been doing this, you know, like as a full-time cultivator and breeder, I've bred over 200 varieties,
Woo.
but we probably offer at any one time 45-ish, you know.
That's perfect a number though. I mean, that's a good variety to choose from. You don't want to overwhelm people, right?
Oh, it's overwhelming as it is, you
Yeah.
know, just trying to keep stock of all that, and maintain germ ratios, you know, like doing germination tests. And uh, you know, a lot of the people right now are looking at feminized seeds and auto seeds. So like dipping your toe into the feminized market a little bit more than just doing the regular seeds
Yeah.
Has been a task, you know. And I've stayed away from the autos just because
I was gonna ask you
me
that.
personally.
Yeah, I was gonna ask.
Yeah,
That was
me
my next
personally.
question to ask you is what you felt about autos because I don't like autos, so I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, me personally, like I want to be able to keep a mom around, you know, And with the autos, it's just, like
One and done.
plan them and go,
Yeah.
plan them and go, plan them and go, plan them and go. And I understand the need and the marketplace for them. So no hate, for the
Yeah.
autos, but it's just not my style of plant, not my style of growing.
That's what I tell everybody. The same thing what you just said. I'm like, well, if I find something and I want to keep it around, like I don't want to just be
Yeah,
done. Like, you know what I mean? Like you want to
yeah. I've
keep
got some
that.
clones that are 20 plus years old. So
Well, see, I got my
um,
longest is a 12 right now, and it's Alaskan Thunderfuck. It's a true Alaskan Thunderfuck, and
okay,
she is amazing. You know what I mean? I love her. I literally that's my longest relationship right there with the with the plant. You know what I mean? So, not everybody that's seen her, is just raves over her. People, I haven't flowered her in a minute, so everybody's been like, "Oh, when are you gonna flower ATF again? When are you gonna?" I'm like, "It'll come, it'll come." You know what I mean? And I just can't wait myself because I can just taste it, like you. I'm sure every one of
yeah,
those strains that you guys do, you can just no matter how long it's been, you can taste it and your mouth
yeah,
salivates almost, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's funny. I was just in a dispensary yesterday, and they had Ghost Train Haze on the menu, and I was like, I gotta see it. I gotta stick my nose in the jar. I gotta see it. And it's very distinctive. It has a very distinctive terp profile, and looked at it and was like, "Yep, that's Ghost Train." Somebody's doing a good job with it.
That's
Other
awesome.
than us. So
That's good. I'm sure you've heard this many times, like I have, and it just irks me. Like, how do you feel when somebody calls it a strand?
I had a buddy from New York years ago that no matter what the miscommunication between my Southern draw and his New York accent, he was a Strand guy. I was a Strain guy, and he would say Strand, and I would say Strain. Right behind him, and never could break him.
So many people. How do you feel about that, Mike?
It's. I mean, I'm not gonna call you out, but it definitely makes my brain twitch. Yeah.
That's why I said it irks me, man. Every time I'm like, it's not strand. Like, damn it. And these are people that think there's something in the industry or whatever it is. I'm like, oh my God, like you just don't even know. That's when you can really tell, you know what I mean, if somebody is really into it, right? I mean, if they're coming like with lingo and
Yeah,
stuff like that, you're like, how long you been doing this?
yeah. Even now, I mean, having to start referring to things as cultivars
Yeah,
instead of just strains.
definitely.
Um,
There's a big lighting company, like I said, I'm not going to name any names, but today they put a post out and it was highlighting one of a grower they're just reposting, right? And it was a male plant, full on, ready, dropping pollen basically, and the person behind that, the post was, oh, she is this, and the ladies, blah blah blah, and I'm like, what? And I put in a comment and I said, she? Like, what do you mean? Like, and they reposted that. I'm like, that irks me. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, it obviously is
yeah,
not a she.
yeah.
And that's why I'm like, does this person putting this out and doing this breeding even get it? Like,
I'm that way with pictures, like close-up photos of pictures that have like total thrips. Like
Oh
when
yeah,
you can tell the plant's got thrips, like really bad,
or
and they'll
spider
post a
mites.
close-up picture, and you're just like, man, like that plant could be so much more healthy.
And I love it when brands do that. When brands are putting out, like they have their photographers go and they make these pictures or videos or whatever. But these people are not cannabis people. They don't know shit. And they're videotaping or taking pictures of the crappiest looking shit. I'm like, if I was the owner of that, I'd be so fucking pissed that they put that out. Like, what the hell? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's crazy. That's why I said the industry's changed so much, and that's why you have to really get people behind you. Mike seems like a good guy. How long you been, associated together?
2016, right, Mike?
Yeah, something like that. So 6 years, 7 years.
I
Yeah.
mean, it takes time to build relationships, and to build trust, and being a guy, that owns a company as well and has a brand, it takes a lot to trust people with that brand and to represent it, and it's not easy. I know how you feel, Scott. And Mike, you seem like you really represent Rare Dankness well. And I when I first talked to you, you had nothing but positive things, that I was like, all right, I want to get you guys on the show. And you were like, you know what? I'm not the guy. And you definitely put out Scott, and you're like, I'm gonna get Scott involved with this because he's behind this. And I think that's great, that you represent this company so well, but you know damn well that Scott's gonna be the best one to ever do it. So that's awesome.
Yeah,
I appreciate it, man. Appreciate it, Mike.
Yeah, thank you.
And that's why I wanted to relay too, just so you know, Scott. I mean, he's, Mike, when we talked, he was really very knowledgeable and really polite, and that's what I like too. We had a really great conversation. We just met on the phone, you know what I'm saying, and we talked for a minute, and it was a great time, and I remember that conversation and putting this out there, and I'm glad you guys came on so quick, what I mean, because I really wanted to highlight what you guys are doing, and I really appreciate you guys taking the time to really, come on here and educate our listeners and our viewers to what you guys are all about. It's important to know who's behind these brands. And, I've learned a lot from you guys just talking with you right here, and the stories that you're telling, and myself, I'd be, more than, happy to buy your line if I was just a regular consumer, whether it be the seeds or the nutrient line, and like I said, I've been using the nutrients in the store, showing people, hey, this is what I'm putting on these plants, and they're like, damn, these plants look amazing. You know what I mean? And I like to be able to showcase lines like that as well, and I still do some organic stuff. I love Roots Organics, and they put out amazing stuff, their soil and their nutrient line. I like to highlight that as well, for an organic line, and people have been able to trust me with that. I've used it so much, and then they trust it, and then they go and then they come back and nothing but great feedback. And I think that's how it should be, right?
Yeah.
So I look
Yeah.
forward to,
Good feedback is really important.
and now we live in the social media world. You know what I'm saying? So people talk.
Yes. Yeah.
So
Everybody talks.
yeah, and it's a difficult world sometimes, when you're one of those brands that people are talking about, and who knows how it can go, right?
Yeah, definitely.
There's a lot of haters out there, and that's what I think. People, once they start seeing things, they can recognize hate and really recognize what's really happening. And I think, being older, I'm in my 40s now, you know what I'm saying? I do get into the social media thing, but I try not to focus on it too much. But I know it's important,
Yeah.
especially with what you guys are doing, pushing your line. And I mean, it's not easy traveling around, I'm sure, going to all these different places. It takes, a lot out of your life, I'm sure.
Oh man, like even right now, people want us to start a TikTok, channel with daily updates of nutrient usage and mixing suggestions and all this stuff. And like I'm kind of like you. I'm 47, so I have my toes in the water a little bit, but diving full into some of these new platforms, like it's a little intimidating, man.
It is, man. I agree, and that's why, everybody wants me to do a TikTok and all this stuff. My daughter, she's 15. She's like, you need a TikTok. I'm like, I don't want one. Like, I don't even want Instagram. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, but you have to. And I'm like, no, I'm not that guy. I don't want to make all these little videos and I'm not that guy. Like I've always told her, like if the herd's over here, I'm right there on this side. I don't want to be following what everybody else is doing.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah.
that's I think being in the 40s right there. You know what I'm saying? We grew up in a different time, before all this crazy phone and technology, and that's where I started growing weed way before all this, and all these events. People are like, oh, why don't you go to these events and this and that? I'm like, I've been doing this for 20 some years. You know what I mean? Like that's nothing. I'm not gonna go. I don't need to go to smoke weed. You know what I'm saying? Like what the hell?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it is important. I tell them, I'm like, yeah, I'm probably missing out on opportunities, to promote, but whatever. You know what I'm saying? We got our following, and I'm happy with that. I think we got great guests that come on, and that's what helps push our name too. You know what I'm saying? Bringing on great guests like yourselves and really spreading that knowledge.
Cool, man. We appreciate it. We really appreciate being on the show.
Well, thank you, man. Why don't you guys go ahead and tell everybody out there where they can find your seeds, where they can find the nutrient line. Obviously, we said Hydro Farm earlier, but direct them to your sites and everything.
Yeah, so the website is Rare Dankness, just raredankness.com. The seeds are available through seed banks like Attitude Seed Bank, Midwest Mountain Seed Bank, North Atlantic Seed Bank. We don't do any direct sales or anything like that. The nutrients are distributed through Hydrofarm. I am starting to see them on Amazon a little bit, so they're starting to make their way out into the world through other channels and whatnot. Um, uh, Consulting, but basically is Reach Consultants here in Colorado. We do consulting on uh, grow build outs, uh, fertilization, genetics. Yeah, pretty much, seed to sale for the most part.
Sweet.
Yeah, again, like I said, we really appreciate being able to come on the show and just, to tell our story and, spend some time with your listeners, and really want to just say thank you, man.
Well, I appreciate that, man. I really do. And, time is our most important, our most valued thing. So I really appreciate your time, taking the time to come on here just to be with us tonight. Mike, again, I don't know if you mentioned the Instagram, but Mike, you want to shout out the Instagram? Is it just Rare Dankness, or what is that?
Yeah, Rare Dankness Nutrients Instagram. We also have a YouTube page that I've been working on, putting a couple educational videos, kind of as people have requested, different things. But kind of as you guys, I'm not real big on social media stuff, and so they're making their way out slowly, but they're getting out there.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you too, Mike. And if you guys can hold on, I'll finish out the show, and then I want to walk you around the store real quick and show you what we got going on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Right on. Just hold on.
We really appreciate you having us on.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So yeah, Cannon family, we had an awesome time here with Scott and Mike from Rare Dankness. If you reach out to them, if you're looking to run some stellar genetics and the nutrients behind it, you can always come to Little Shop of Hydros. You can we're going to be carrying the Rare Dankness nutrients here soon. So definitely look out for that. We can stand behind it. You know what I mean? I'm going to be running this myself personally on my own grow, and showing the results in the end as well. I think it's going to be something awesome to be able to highlight. So definitely come on into the store, pick up some nutrients here soon, and then reach out to all these different seed banks and get yourself some stellar Rare Dankness. That story was amazing that we heard from Scott right there of where that name came from. We want to shout out our sponsors as well. Again, Sticky Saguaro out in Chandler, Arizona. If you're looking for an amazing family-owned, family-operated dispensary, one of the few here in Arizona, Sticky Saguaro, Riggs and McQueen. We really appreciate them. And also check out our other store right here if you're looking for just regular CBD products, Dynapure CBD. We're located in North Phoenix, Arizona. So we also, dynapure.com, littleshopofhydros.com if you want to order anything online. And I'm Vodka One with the Stone Age Podcast. Peace. I'll walk you guys. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can still hear you.
Cool. Let me get a light on over here and show you guys what's up. Turn the camera around. All right, so here we are at the store right here. We got a little hydro tower garden in the corner over there. That's Tanya over here. Say hi.
Hi, Tanya.
Hello.
So yeah, we got an opening in between the stores here, so we combined both stores basically into one.
Nice.
That's where we were right there. So all of our CBD products basically, and we got the full line.
Nice.
So we did a lot of construction in here, tearing down rooms and walls and putting up all these wood and LED and all that kind of stuff. Can't really show you the outside right now, but we got an amazing mural outside of the building. We got some inside here you can see, but we do a lot of positive affirmation. In the beginning at the front of the store there, beautifully organic. So, you guys are going to be right in this area here pretty damn soon. I guarantee it.
Cool.
So, yeah, here's our learning center. Like I was telling you, we'd love to have you on at some of our classes here and, just educate people. Maybe just cut in. It doesn't have to be like we did right here, but maybe we're doing a class and we're talking about it and we just get you lined up and we just do a little 10-minute little thing with you guys. Get people to really, get more sales out of Arizona, I guess. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Definitely.
So, yeah, man, I hope you guys can make it out this way sometime. If you're ever in Arizona, reach out, man. I'd love to have you guys by and just, meet in person and blaze one.
Yeah, definitely.
For sure.
I got a buddy that's got a gold mine down there near Phoenix, so hopefully he'll let me come visit sometime.
And do some mining, hopefully.
I'll swing by.
Well, hey, you guys have a great night, man. I really appreciate you guys.
Thank you. Yay, that was awesome. I'm listening. I'm always in the back.
Awesome.
Yeah,
thank you.
She's the director of
Thanks,
it.
man.
So, yeah,
Appreciate
I had a great time with you guys and great story, man. I really appreciate you guys, and I look forward to running some of your guys' genetics here soon, man. I'm gonna do some ordering myself. So, what do you recommend?
Cool, man.
Besides the Ghost Train and the Scott's OG.
Star Killer.
I was like,
Star Killer. There we go.
Yeah, Scott's, Commerce City, Rug Burns.
Cool.
Yeah. You Pamelina's, if you can find Pamelina's.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a few things, man. You can't go wrong.
Awesome. Well,
just hit me up.
Have any questions?
Hit me up.
Reach out.
Just hit me up with questions, and I'll let you know what I think.
Cool, man. Well, I've been rocking the gear you guys dropped off too, so people have been asking. So we'll get you guys in here soon. So you guys have a great night.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon.
Have a good one.